During this particular time, with the garbage worker strike, and there was another strike, there was the housing authority worker strike, and we were supporting all of these strike efforts. So we became a part of the debate on the media, and something that we never really relished at all. But people were asking us to speak for this press, but we're trying to get the workers to get their view out. So we became known in the city as supporting, everyday ordinary people strikes and efforts through direct action. So Mr. and Mrs. Green, when the murder and missing children thing took place, Mr. and Mrs. Green contacted me and Shimaringa and Omar and the little cadre that we had during that particular time to help them organize a self-defense unit in Techwood Homes, which is now, of course, the Georgia State dorm. Which dorm is that? But that's where the housing projects were. Yeah. Techwood Housing Project. And Mr. and Mrs. Green were really a very popular group had a popular group of tenants with them, a core of tenants around them. And they were just ordinary people trying to defend themselves against what they perceived as a threat to the safety of their children. Mm-hmm. So they called us in, and we even called a press conference because we knew the law. And Shimaringa was an ex-Marine. And so what we did, I don't know how they got the bats out there. I never did figure that out. I think that was a media kind of sensationalized thing. But during this particular time, Georgia law, and I think it still is, you have the right to carry a weapon. As a matter of fact, I was armed. I had a weapon here, and I used to wear boots. I used to have two in my, as a taxi driver, I used to have this. I was armed like this. And they called us, and Shimaringa and myself and Omar, and I think this is in one of the national magazines, laid out all of the weaponry on the table. We had a couple of carbines. The M1 was popular during that time. A couple of handguns, and we had the walkie-talkies that we were using, and all of the equipment. We invited the police to come there, and we read the law. It says, are any of these things illegal for citizens to have in protection of this community? Because I think one of the law, he said, no, these are legal weapons, they're regular, registered weapons, and then Shimaringa says, we're going to be using everything from carbines to bats to sticks and stones. And that's where the bat patrol came, because we did have some bats there. And we used the bats for the younger kids who were not legally, could not legally carry these weapons, but there were some grown people who carried these weapons and patrolled the perimeter of this area. And when we started doing this, other people started to begin to do this, so they had to suppress it. So I remember I was going over there for a meeting, and I got stopped. I think it was a rally. I got stopped. The same kind of scenario. They stopped me, and then they asked me where was I going. I said, well, I'm just going to take care of some of my personal business. And they said, well, we're going to stop you. They worked their way through my car. They found a weapon. I was driving my taxi cab, really. And they found a weapon under the seat. And I said, here's the permit for this weapon. And I had one in the briefcase. And they opened it up, and they looked in there, saw some papers, and they said, well, you carrying an unauthorized. I said, here's the permit for this weapon. And so he called down, and he says, he has all of the legal criteria fulfilled. What are we going to charge him with? He says, just charge him with any damn thing you can find. And so next thing you know, he wrote up carrying a weapon without a license, carrying an unauthorized weapon. They put that up front because that was used to inflame people, right? And then they said driving without a license, all kind of things. And they had that I went down, they arrested me. and they took me downtown. They didn't even put me in jail this time. They just released me after the meeting was over. Then they went down to the streets and tried to arrest Shimmering and the people. It was really getting to be thick down there, and the people rallied and surrounded Shimmering, and they didn't arrest him then, but they arrested him later. But then they had a campaign within the media that these people were vigilantes. I think it's on record with the Georgia urinal and constipation now. I don't know what date it was, but it's there. But anyway, we were the vigilantes taking the law into our own hands, and but the Bat Patrol continued. I don't know what people thought it was, but the agreement was, Mrs. and Mrs. Green said, well, look, we are going to have certain people come down here and carry guns no matter what, because it's our right. And our kids are going to defend themselves with these bats. And so Mr. and Mrs. Green used to walk, in the tenant association, used to walk the perimeter with their bats and with the little kids. And nobody, the thing about it is, none of the kids in that community ever was abducted by anybody. And the right of people to organize themselves. And that's one of those things I was telling you about. Those are the instances by which you can see people doing this kind of thing. Sometimes it looks unique and different, but Mr. and Mrs. Green are really heroes. But very few things was written about them.